Hey guys, Phear here. I've finally decided to make my first attempt at a unit analysis and tactical discussion video, mostly for Brawl Machine, but I believe the logic will still work for regular 75-point Warmachine games. I've had this script on my pipeline for a while, but I had to focus on my dad's death anniversary for the past few weeks and tried out some different game systems. So I'd like to start off with my current pet solo, Scythe. So let's talk about her stat line. Scythe is a mercenary minion Nyx solo with a stat line of Speed 7, Strength 5, Mat 5, Wrath 8, Def 15, Arm 12, Command 6. She also has Gunfighter, Pathfinder, and Stealth. Her weapon, the Nisbo, has a profile of range 12, rate of fire 1, POW 10, and Weapon Master. She is a mercenary minion model that will work for Signar, Kadar, Retribution, Circle, and Trollbloods. She also has Partisan Retribution, meaning she is considered a Retribution model, so she can take benefits which specifically want Retribution faction models. Her abilities are Run and Gun. At the end of its activation, if this model destroyed one or more enemy models with a ranged attack during that activation, it can make a full advance. And Tree Walker. This model ignores forests when determining line of sight. While completely within a forest, this model gains +2 defense against melee attack rolls. Her gun also has a special action which is Multi-Fire. Make an attack with this weapon. On a hit, after resolving the attack, this model can immediately make one additional attack with this weapon, targeting the last model hit or another model within 2 inches of that model. This model can make up to 4 attacks during its activation as a result of multi-fire. That's it for the stats and abilities. All of these are for just 6 points. So let's move on to analysis. So if you've been watching my battle reports, you might have noticed that I'm practically using Scythe every game since I put her in. And that's because she is phenomenal, and only for 6 points. Free if I use the requisition from themes. She is an absolute ranged beast with her Rat 8, considering the average defense of most infantry models are between 12 and 14. She would need force to sixes on most attacks to take down a model out in the open. She would have a tougher time against models with 15 defense or higher. With a threat range of 19 and Tree Walker, she can easily move up the board turn 1, hide behind a forest, and forfeit her movement to aim on turn 2 to boost her to Rat 10, making the defense 15 or higher targets more manageable. So let's talk about her Multi-Fire and Weapon Master. So Multi-Fire and Weapon Master make her all the more threatening, as her attacks would deal an average of 10.5 damage. That's 7 average for 2d6 plus 3.5 for 1d6 due to her Weapon Master. That's all in a single hit. Multi-Fire grants her the ability to deal more if she keeps hitting, and as mentioned, with a rat of 8, that's almost always 4 attacks. You can kill 4 smaller targets or even cripple or kill a light warjack war beast with this. If you're out of targets, you might be able to deal a good chunk of damage against heavies. However, I believe her best use is taking out multi-wound infantry or cavalry models. I have to note that thanks to my viewer Neil's base, I'm butchering your name, I know it. Multi-fire will stop when you miss with an attack. I played it wrong with one of my games and continued my attacks. So you have to take note that multi-fire stops when you miss. So let's move on to run and gun. Her run and gun ability is a great escape mechanism. I've used it several times on several games to take a flag turn 2 after dealing damage to the opponent's army. You can see that in my most recent game against Kador. I've reused her run and gun ability to contest an opposing flag as well, or at least attempt it. What I believe I'm underutilizing is Scythe's gunfighter advantage. I have to admit it's because it rarely comes up, but after doing a deep dive into her abilities, I realized that her having gunfighter opens up a lot more options tactically. In my first game against Matt's Legion, he engaged my Mage Hunter Strike Force with his cavalry in order to get a +4 in melee defense bonus, which, with his Nisraptor, rather than me shooting it from the back against a defense 18 and needing 10s to kill it, I could have just charged and attacked it from the back and be able to kill it more feasibly. Yes, I would have forfeited my multi-fire attacks, but I could have triggered run and gun and get as close to his flag as I can to deny it. I could have also freed up my Mage Hunter Strike Force to be more relevant in that game. You can also use Gunfighter in conjunction with Run and Gun to engage a tightly packed group of low map targets in the woods, so she effectively goes up to a defense 21 if anybody attempts to shoot her. She would also have defense 17 in melee with Tree Walker, and that's also a nice way to protect her. She can also make free strikes with her bow thanks to Gunfighter, so your opponents would need to take her out first if he wants to make use of something like an artillery crew that Scythe had engaged. If she survives, multi-fire enables you to shoot and kill whatever she's engaged with. So let's move on to her next ability, Tree Walker. Tree Walker might be her most valuable ability in the entire card. Her being able to ignore forests when making shooting attacks is an excellent pest against opponents. As far as I can tell, not many units in that game can do that without the help of spells or feat. She could lose Weapon Master and Run and Gun, but as long as she keeps multi-fire, I would still likely use her to pick off infantry. Tree Walker combined with multi-fire and run and gun make her a very self-sustaining solo, and self-sustainability is a trait I believe is crucial for any model in Warmachine, as it lets you focus other resources on other areas that will lead you to victory. So let's talk about combos and synergies. I can only speak about synergies using Retribution, but once again, the logic may still apply to other factions that she is eligible to be in. So let's start off with Garryth 2. So for Garryth 2, I've never actually played him, but I'm looking at the stats, I'm looking at the abilities. I think I can make these guesses. So let's start with Garryth's feat. His feat granting Black Penny lets Scythe ignore target in melee bonuses and grants her an out of turn shot if possible. So that's always good. Mortality increases the lethality of her attacks with -2 defense and arm and removes tough. Mage Sight also lets her ignore clouds and stealth. Being able to shoot at stealth models might be the best benefit here. Road to R, her being able to reliably kill targets lets Road to R trigger more easily. So if you're using Scythe with Garryth 2, that's all the what I think are the potential uses. Let's move into Goreshade 4. Uh, Goreshade's feat combined with a Priest of Mysore in a Nis meme list lets you host Sorcia 1 pretty bad. Aside from that, Goreshade 4 also has Life of Wrath, which pretty much is the only spell that synergizes with Scythe, but her being able to shoot at a target that lost stealth and -2 defense is very important. Next up, let's talk about Issyria. On Issyria's feat turn, Scythe will absolutely kill what needs to be killed, with an effective signs and portents for the whole round. True Scythe is also a big plus. Uh, for Issyria's spells, Blinding Light, another -2 defense spell, but also protects Scythe in a way thanks to shutting down shooting and magical attacks. Next, let's talk about Kaelyssa. Kaelyssa on feat turn protects your already difficult to charge Scythe. She also grants Blur, which gives Scythe +3 defense. If you're relying on Scythe to hold down a fort, being defense 18 in melee in the woods would probably be a good way to steal a flag. She also has Refuge, pretty much a redundant in conjunction with Run and Gun. But if you want Scythe to run up and steal a flag from 14 inches away, I think this is meme worthy. Please correct me on that if I cannot have Refuge and Run and Gun trigger on the same turn. Let's move on to Ossyan. Ossyan is also another caster I have no experience with, but once again, I can make educated guesses looking at the cards. So, Ossyan's feat turn adds an additional dice to hit and damage for Scythe. Quicken grants her +2 defense and speed, making her more survivable, especially with run and gun. Fortune also grants you another chance of making that important shot for multi-fire. So let's move on to Ravyn. So Ravyn's feat turn grants boosted attacks and Swift Hunter. Uh, I don't think it's pretty relevant. Obviously, extra dice is always good, but Swift Hunter, I think, could be used just to get an extra 2 inches of range for her multi-fire attack. Uh, Ravyn's spell Snipe increases Scythe's threat range from 19 to 23. So I think that might be the best use of Snipe and Ravyn. So yeah, let's move on to other things to watch out for. I think these are all the casters that I would like to use with Scythe. So things to watch out for, like most of Retribution's Mage Hunter models, avoid blast and sprays. Her arm 12 is effectively paper. A high roll on POW 8 blasts will kill her. Shield Guard can also screw you over if your opponent places the Shield Guard 3 inches out and 2 inches outside of any other juicy targets for multi-fire. So yeah, watch out for that. Let's move on to my conclusions. So like I mentioned, I like Scythe due to her being self-sustaining. 6 points for all of these abilities is 6 points well spent. You can practically put her in a list without any support and she will still contribute heavily. So don't restrict yourselves with the casters that I've suggested. Like I said, she will work alone. No need for caster support. Uh, so yeah, I think that's pretty much it for my thoughts on Scythe. I hope you liked this video. Please tell me if I missed any tactics or misinterpreted any rules. If you'd like me to do more of these, please write it down in the comments. As always, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell icon so you get notified whenever I have a new video. Thanks for watching.